I'm having technical difficulties. I'm not a YouTuber or even a put me on camera type person at all.
I'm done.
Okay. Blemishes and all. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Anyhow, this is try 2. Actually, no, this is try 3. So we'll leave the mess ups in there. Maybe it'll work this time. So, a friend of mine and myself, we were discussing interesting things in the Bible that were discovered way before science had ever discovered it. And Ray Comfort wrote this cute little book right here. Ray Comfort, Scientific Facts in the Bible, 100 Reasons to Believe the Bible is Supernatural in Origin. He outlines a lot of those things in the Bible that were spoke of before scientists could even explain it. Once again, I apologize, I've been sick, so I'm going to read it. It's probably going to be a 13-part video. We'll see how it works out. Might be longer, might be shorter, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, I'm going to read. Forward says, I hope you are skeptical. Suppose I believed that I was God and that I thought the whole universe revolved around me. The confident youth waited for my reaction to his question. I simply answered, I think you would be a normal human being. He was a little taken back that I wasn't impressed by his outrageous statement, and asked, what do you mean? Well, I explained by asking him where he thought here was, and he told me that it was where he stood. Every human being thinks the same way. We define here as being where we are. Everything and everyone else is there. Each of us think that we are the center of the universe. Semantics, let's take it a little further. Define now for me. Tell me when it is. You can. The split second that you try to pinpoint now, it becomes then. I often find myself explaining the nature of now. After I ask people if you have ever stolen something, this is their typical answer to the question, yes, I have, but that was in the past. I explain to them that everything is in the past. You are even forced to define the reading of this very sentence as something you did in the past. These thoughts are a little strange, and you may be thinking that there are still some things that we can still be sure of. The sun still rises, the sky is still blue, and up is still up. Not true. The sun never rises. The earth turns, giving us an illusion that the sun is rising. Although it remains still, it seems to be still, but it's actually moving through the universe. The sky isn't blue. Ask any astronaut. It has no color. Neither is up. Remember that the earth is round. What is up to someone at the North Pole is not up to someone at the South Pole. In fact, if everyone on the earth pointed to where they thought was up, we would all be pointing in a different direction. So many things that we think are absolutes are not. History has shown us that even what science defines as truth today may be laughed at in 100 years. What then can we be sure of? Is there such a thing as absolute, unchanging truths? We will look at this subject later in this publication. In April 2001, through a series of strange circumstances, I found myself speaking at American Atheist Incorporation National Convention in Orlando, Florida. The audience was of 250, were reasonably polite, until I made the statement that the Bible was filled with scientific and medical facts written thousands of years before man discovered them. The reaction was one of an immediate and unified mockery. Their response was understandable. If I was speaking the truth, then the Bible is supernatural in origin, not a pleasant thought for the professing atheist. This, however, is not altogether bad news for the unbeliever. If the Bible proves itself to be the word of the one who created all things, it would make sense to search its pages. After all, time will take each of us to the grave, and if there was one chance in a million the Bible's promises of immortality and threats of damnation is true, we owe it to our good sense, well, to just look into it. The Bible doesn't attempt to defend its inspiration. Genesis simply opens up with the words, God said. It repeats these words 9 times in the first chapter. The phrase, the Lord spoke, is used 560 times in the first 5 books of the Bible, and at least 3,800 times in the whole of the Old Testament. Isaiah claims at least 40 times that his message came directly from God. Ezekiel 60 times, and Jeremiah 100 times. There are about 3,856 verses directly or indirectly concerned with prophecy in Scripture. Mormons, Buddhists, and Muslims have what they consider their own sacred writings. But the element of proven prophecy is absent in them. Neither do any other book in any of the world's religion. Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, Quran, etc. contain scientific truth. I'm going to read that again. Listen to this here. There are about 3,856 verses directly or indirectly concerned with prophecy in Scripture. Mormons, Buddhists, and Muslims have what they consider their own sacred writings, but the element of proven prophecy is absent in them. And that goes for all the other religions as well. In fact, they contain statements that are clearly unscientific. Most people are not aware that the Bible was written over a period of 1,600 years by more than 40 authors who wrote on 3 different continents in 3 different languages. They spoke on hundreds of controversial subjects, and yet they penned their words with agreement and harmony. Isn't that interesting? Most people are not aware that the Bible was written over a period of 1,600 years by more than 40 authors who wrote on 3 different continents in 3 different languages. And they spoke on hundreds of controversial subjects, and yet they penned their words with agreement and harmony perfectly. These facts make the information given in this publication even more incredible. Before we look at these scientifics in the Bible, I must preface them with some very important information. To do this, I will have to quote the Bible. This is not using what is commonly called secular reasoning. I simply want to make a point that is relevant to what I'm going to be presenting. Many years ago, I ran into a children's club. At the end of the club, I told about 100 kids to line up for some candy. There was an immediate rush, and the line sorted itself into what I saw as being a line of greed. The bigger, selfish kids were at the front, and the smaller and more timid ones were at the back. I then did something that gave me great satisfaction. I told the kids to turn about face. Everyone did. And then I told them to stay right where they were. And I took the great delight in going to the other end of the line and giving the candy to the smaller, timid kids first. In a world where the rich get richer and the poor get stomped on, we are informed that God has gone to the other end of the line with the message of everlasting life. I know that you may not believe in the existence of God, but please bear with me. Here is what we are told. For the preaching of the cross is to them, excuse me just a moment. For the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. But God has chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and God has chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and base things of the world, and things which are despised. God has chosen, yes, the things which are not, to bring to nothing things that are, that no flesh should glory in his presence. 1 Corinthians 1, 18, 19, 27 through 29. How has God gone to the other end of the line? Simply by choosing that which is foolish, weak, base, and despised. Let me illustrate what he has done. Do you believe that the following biblical accounts actually happened? Adam and Eve, Noah's Ark, Jonah and the whale, Joshua and the walls of Jericho, Samson and his long hair, Daniel and the lion's den, Moses and the Red Sea. If you're an atheist, of course you don't. To you, believing such fantastic stories would mean that you would have to surrender your intellectual dignity. Who in their right mind would ever do that? The answer is simple. Those who understand that God has chosen foolish, weak, base, and despised things of the world to confound those who think that they are wise. Look at the intellectual offense in the tone of this letter I received regarding the Orlando debate on the subject, does God exist? How sad for you to have so completely surrendered your intellect to an ignorant, pre-scientific book. I know about your upcoming debate. I won't be there, but I'm sure that the audience will get some good belly laughs from your presentation. Biblical literates may not be very bright, but they're extremely funny. I hope you have opened this book with a good deal of skepticism. You should. The world is full of simple folk who will make a shrine to a knot in a tree because it supposedly has the features of a dead saint. You are wise to consider the evidence before deciding whether something is true. Where is the evidence? Imagine that you're looking at a luxury liner moving. Imagine that you are looking at a luxury liner moving through calm waters. To your amazement, about a dozen people jump off the ship and cling to a lifeboat. You watch as the rest of the passengers stand on the ship and laugh at them. Look at these people. What are they doing? You can understand their reaction. What those few people did was foolish. It made no sense. Suddenly, the ship hits an unseen iceberg and sinks, taking with it all who stayed on board. Now you see that those who seemed like fools were wise. But those who stayed on the ship and seemed to be wise were fools. We have in the Bible a command to jump off the luxury liner of this world. Before you laugh at stupid Christians, ask yourself if there is any proof that its claims are true. The following pages give compelling evidence that the Bible is no ordinary book. We're going to stop there. That was just the foreword. But I do want to do, a video per chapter. So we will be back with chapter 1 shortly in another video. This did mention, space and the world being round. I have my own thoughts on that. But everything else checks with science and facts and everything in this book. I can't wait to get to the rest of the book with you. I think this is going to be fun, even though I'm not a YouTuber, but I think it'll be fun. And sorry for my weird position camera. I don't have the best setup. Alright, love you guys. Thank you for watching. And, do what you do. Talk to you later.